He humiliated me in front of the entire team, laughing like I was just some powerless employee. You're good at following orders, not understanding real business. He told me the CEO's arrogant son, but what he didn't know, I had already made my move. 3 months later, I owned their main supplier, and my first decision: cut them off completely. Their production stopped overnight, and his career collapsed with it. Want to know how I destroyed the future of the man who underestimated me? Stay until the end, because this revenge is calculated. The moment he opened his mouth, I knew it wasn't going to be good. The CEO's son, Liam Fletcher, freshly promoted, arrogant, and dripping with undeserved confidence, leaned across the boardroom table, his blue eyes filled with amusement. Listen, Emma, he began, pausing for effect, you're good at following orders, but you don't really understand the business side of things, do you? The words echoed across the room like a slap. A few chuckles rippled from the other executives. Most of them men, most of them desperate to stay on Liam's good side. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay composed, even as the heat rose to my cheeks. Don't react, I reminded myself, not yet, but inside, I was already planning. They thought I was weak, just an operations manager here to handle logistics, schedules, and inventory. They didn't know I had spent the last 6 months negotiating behind the scenes, preparing a move so quiet, so precise, that when it landed, they wouldn't even see it coming. But back to that meeting, Liam, I said evenly, I understand the business just fine. Without my team, your precious contracts wouldn't even get off the ground. He smirked, waving me off like an annoying fly. Sure, but real power isn't about spreadsheets. It's about knowing when to crush the competition. I stared at him. He really believed that. He believed being born into wealth made him untouchable. He believed arrogance was strength. What he didn't believe yet was that I had already taken the first step to dismantle everything he depended on. 6 months earlier, it started with an overlooked conversation at a supplier conference I'd attended as part of my logistics role, tasked with ensuring our production lines stayed smooth. But what I discovered was far more valuable. Our main supplier, Titan Materials, was struggling financially. Their CEO, an older man named Victor, was quietly looking for buyers to offload his private shares before the company hit a crisis point. That's when the idea took shape. If I could secure ownership in Titan Materials, I wouldn't just be an employee anymore. I'd control the heartbeat of Fletcher Industries, their materials pipeline. I played it carefully. Quiet investments, a few strategic partners, silent negotiations. My position within Fletcher Industries gave me access to data Liam didn't even bother reviewing. He thought logistics were beneath him. I thought they were the foundation for power. Over the months, I acquired a significant stake in Titan Materials, enough to influence production, deliveries, pricing, all under the radar. I didn't tell anyone, not my colleagues, not my friends, not even my family, because revenge works best when it's invisible until it hits. Back to the present, Liam's arrogance grew worse after that meeting. Publicly belittling me became his favorite hobby. During a company dinner, he joked loudly, Emma's great with details, but let's not confuse that with vision. Everyone laughed, except me, because I already knew what was coming. The final shares were transferring to my control within weeks. Fletcher Industries would soon rely entirely on my influence to keep their production lines running. And when I pulled the plug, they'd feel it. 3 months later, the day the deliveries stopped, chaos erupted. Liam stormed into the operations floor, red-faced, barking orders. Where are the shipments? Why are we not receiving inventory? I sipped my coffee calmly. There's been a supply disruption. He glared at me. Fix it. I smiled. Slow and deliberate. I already have. His brow furrowed. What the hell does that mean? I leaned in, my voice low and clear. Titan Materials, your only supplier, changed ownership recently. I own them now, and I've decided your contracts are no longer valid. His mouth fell open. You can't. I can. I interrupted, and I did. The next week, Fletcher Industries collapsed under production delays, lawsuits, and lost clients. Liam's reputation disintegrated overnight. He tried to call me, to beg, to negotiate. I let it ring. The first signs of Fletcher Industries' downfall weren't visible to the public. Not yet. It started quietly, a missing shipment here, a delayed order there. Clients grumbled, project timelines slipped, and whispers filled the corridors of the headquarters. But Liam, he was too arrogant to notice. I watched from the sidelines, unseen. While his empire cracked beneath him, Titan Materials, my company, now had halted all priority shipments to Fletcher Industries, legally airtight. Every contract had a loophole they never anticipated. Their entire operation depended on materials that now weren't coming. They had no alternatives lined up, no contingency plan. Liam believed in dominance, not preparation. The perfect storm was brewing. 3 weeks later, the first client pulled out. An international construction firm fed up with delays terminated a $50 million contract. Shares of Fletcher Industries dipped by 8% overnight. Liam stormed into a board meeting, visibly shaken for the first time. "We'll fix this," he insisted, pounding the table. "We have leverage. They can't just cut us off." The CFO, an older, quiet man named Harris, cleared his throat. "With all due respect, sir, they can. Titan Materials changed ownership. Their new leadership isn't honoring our long-term agreements." Liam froze. His bravado faltered for a split second. "Who the hell owns them now?" he demanded. I stayed silent, seated at the end of the table, reviewing my notes. The irony, I didn't need to reveal myself yet. The legal web I'd woven was working perfectly. Inside Titan Materials, the transition of power had been smooth. Victor, the former CEO, retired quietly, grateful for the generous buyout. The employees embraced the new leadership, especially when I implemented fair wages, better conditions, and stability the company desperately needed. They didn't know the full story. They didn't need to. All they knew was that Titan was finally profitable. And its new CEO, me, wasn't afraid to make bold moves, including cutting off Fletcher Industries. Back at Fletcher, panic spread like wildfire. Suppliers renegotiated prices, clients threatened lawsuits, production lines slowed to a crawl. Liam's frustration boiled over. In an emergency town hall, he addressed the staff. "Some of you may have heard rumors about supply chain issues," he began, voice strained. "Let me be clear, we are not a company that folds under pressure." His eyes scanned the crowd, landing briefly on me. I tilted my head, poker-faced. He didn't know, not yet, but he would, soon. The breaking point: by month's end, 3 major clients walked away, shareholders demanded answers, journalists circled like vultures. Liam became desperate. One morning, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Urgent, please." I smiled. The hunter was now the hunted. The call I let him sweat for 2 more days before agreeing to meet. We sat in a private conference room, neutral territory. Liam looked exhausted. His once flawless suit hung slightly loose, dark circles under his eyes. "You've heard what's happening," he started, trying to sound composed. I leaned back, crossing my legs. "I've heard. We can't survive without Titan Materials," he admitted, voice low. "Whoever owns them, they're destroying us." I sipped my coffee, savoring the moment. "Interesting," he exhaled sharply. "I need you to reach out. You have connections there." I paused for effect, then leaned forward. "I don't need to reach out, Liam," he frowned. "What?" "I am the connection." The realization hit him like a punch. His mouth opened, then closed again, lost for words. "You underestimated me," I said simply. "You mocked me, you dismissed me. While you were laughing, I was building silence." Then his voice cracked. "You planned this?" I smiled faintly. "Consider it strategic retaliation." Liam Fletcher sat across from me, the color draining from his face as the truth settled in. "You own Titan Materials." His voice cracked between disbelief and panic. I didn't flinch. 65% through private holding groups and silent partnerships. "I've been planning this for a year." His jaw tightened. "This is revenge." "Correction," I said calmly. "This is business. You just happen to be the lesson." I slid a file across the table, a breakdown of Fletcher Industries' current production shortfalls, failed client contracts, pending lawsuits, and spiraling stock value. His eyes scanned the pages. His shoulders sank. "You're bleeding." I added, "The market knows. The clients know. Your father, I imagine he'll know by the morning." He clenched his fists. "We can fix this." "You can't," I interrupted. "The foundation's cracked." "But," I cut him off, "let me help you." That got his attention. "You're offering help?" His voice was bitter. "Not out of mercy," I replied, "out of opportunity." The proposal: I outlined the terms. Fletcher Industries signs a 5-year exclusive supply deal with new pricing structures favoring Titan Materials. Liam steps down from all operational control. I oversee the integration of new leadership. In exchange, Fletcher Industries stabilizes. Their reputation salvaged, their workforce protected. But Liam, his reign ends. The room pulsed with tension. "You planned this from the beginning," he whispered. I met his gaze, steady. "I planned to be respected. You chose humiliation. You wrote this ending." "Liam, the collapse accelerates." Outside our meeting, the situation worsened. Media outlets ran stories of production failures. Shareholders filed emergency motions. The board convened, furious. Liam tried to bluff, but his desperation showed. Within 72 hours, the board demanded solutions or resignations. That's when I made my public move. The press conference stood at the podium, cameras flashing, reporters shouting questions. "Are you the mystery investor behind Titan's supply shift? Did you orchestrate Fletcher's downfall? Is this revenge?" I smiled politely. "I believe in accountability," I began. "When talented people are silenced, underestimated, or ridiculed, the market suffers. I simply invested in fixing that flaw. The headlines exploded. Avery Cross, from discarded employee to industry powerbroker. Humiliated by leadership, she now owns their fate. Corporate karma. Fletcher's arrogance meets its match. The final meeting 2 days later. Liam signed the agreement. His hands shook as he passed me the pen. It didn't have to be this way. He muttered, "You're right, I agreed, but you made sure it was." With that, control shifted. Titan Materials, Fletcher Industries. The entire supply chain, mine. The boardroom was quiet as the final signatures dried. Avery Cross stood, documents in hand. As the last remnants of Fletcher Industries' leadership filtered out silent. Defeated, exposed, Liam Fletcher lingered. At the window, staring out at the skyline, his reflection faint in the glass. "You really did it," he muttered. "You destroyed me." Avery stepped closer, calm, composed. "I didn't destroy you, Liam, your arrogance did. I just accelerated the consequences." He turned, bitter smile on his face. "You've been planning this all along." "Not at first," she admitted. "At first, I just wanted respect. But when you dismissed me, mocked me, belittled me, publicly, this became a lesson." Liam's fists tightened at his sides, but he stayed quiet. Weeks later, Fletcher Industries stabilized under Avery's terms. Production resumed. Clients returned cautiously. The markets responded favorably, though wary of Avery's growing influence. But her victory wasn't about money alone. It was about reclaiming power, rewriting narratives, and proving that strategic patience outweighed reckless arrogance. From dismissed operations manager to silent architect of corporate takeover, the media spun the story. Relentlessly fired woman quietly buys out supply chain. Forces CEO's son to resign. Revenge rebranded. How Avery Cross outsmarted her bullies. The rise of silent power players. The unexpected message. One morning, an email appeared in Avery's inbox from Liam Fletcher. Subject: "Congratulations, C1. I never saw you coming. You turned humiliation into leverage. Respect. I underestimated you. That won't happen again." No apology, just acknowledgement. She archived it without replying. Victory didn't require validation. Building forward with Titan Materials thriving and Fletcher Industries restructured, Avery launched a new venture, Cross Solutions, an incubator for underestimated talent. A place where dismissed employees became founders, where quiet contributors became decision makers, where strategic thinkers turned into power players. Her message was simple: the best revenge isn't loud, it's calculated, and it's permanent. As the city lights blinked across the horizon, Avery reflected on her journey from overlooked to overpowered and smiled. Because this was only the beginning, the end. Justice served, revenge secured.